Every, everybody, Spider V13 here. Figured I'd try my first live stream. We'll see how this goes. And let me check the YouTube channel. This is the first time for me to do this. And I got to be honest, I'm from the toaster oven generation and 8-track tapes. So that gives you an idea of my age. And so, with that being said, let's go to live stream. Okay, I verified I am live. Well, quiet week for the most part for the American people in this country, and everything was calm, cool, and collected for the most part in Washington, D.C., and which is a good thing. Last thing we need right now with tensions running so high is a damn false flag or a big ass street fight because we conservatives and truthers, watchmen, preppers, whatever you want to call us, we're under the gun, under the microscope. And I was looking at an article here on Infowars.com. Democrats, media call for total purge of all conservative news groups, companies, and organizations. Wow, that's pretty aggressive. In the video I made yesterday, it's like, okay, you people won. All right. Took you 5 years, but you won. You're in power. You have possession of the big house. So now go to work. But they still want to just continue to push and push and push and push. And legally, they cannot impeach a president that's already left the office. So that's ridiculous. And for the most part, if you're wondering what's up with the mask, due to my primary and secondary professions, security and just anonymity, me posting my face online is just not a smart thing for me to do. The other thing I wanted to talk about was $1.9 trillion. They're just going to fire up the printing presses and pump out another $1.9 trillion. Damn, that must be nice. That must be nice to have a money machine. Or just think about it. Just think if you had a ATM machine in your house. And anytime you needed money, you just went over and punched in, did a withdrawal for however much money, and the money was always there. The issue I have with that, as the first stimulus, COVID stimulus, now this second COVID stimulus, printing up all this money, this is actually just creating more debt. It's that simple, more debt, and kicking the can down the road. Yeah, and I know you've heard that expression as watchmen and preppers out here. You've heard that expression a lot, kicking the can down the road. Create a huge mess now, kick the can down the road, somebody else will have to clean it up. The old adage, if you didn't bring your mom with you, you got to clean up after yourself. And I know I'm not without compassion. I know that there is a lot of good, hardworking, middle class and lower middle class and poor families out there that got knocked out of the workforce because of Kool-Aid 91. And my heart and my prayers are with them. And yeah, could they use a chunk of the stimulus money to stay afloat? Yeah, and I'm all for that. The problem I have is the $1.2 trillion. Only maybe 8 to 12% of that will actually make it to American people. The rest of it's going to be divvied up for, we all know, special interests, send the money out for whatever cause, money comes back clean. It's a racket. I challenge the new administration. Again, I challenge this new administration. Instead of just firing up the printing presses and creating more debt for the American people to have to deal with down the road, get a grip on Kool-Aid 91. Make some smart, sound decisions. Let's get these lockdowns done with, and let's get the American people back to work. That's how we're going to save ourselves an enormous amount of debt. I mean, it's just common logic. It's common sense. I'm certainly by no means a financial analyst or or a prophet. I'm a basic watchman, but I do have common sense. The other thing I wanted to touch base on, and today's live broadcast won't be that long, is the chatter this weekend with me studying the system from the extreme left all the way over to the extreme right. I take it all in. I was talking with a friend earlier, just before I came in to sit down to do this. I remember when the Lord called me to be a watchman almost 13 years ago. And I remember at night on an iPad, I would scan the system looking for pertinent critical information, and I could blow through and do my research in 15 minutes and I was done. But over the last 12 plus years, it has become overwhelming. I've got like 30 different news sites and at least a half dozen YouTube channels that I follow on a daily basis. So at nighttime, I spend anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half reading and listening to podcasts of other watchmen. And at this point now, I'm only scratching the surface on it. There's just so much going on in this world. Absolutely so much going on. And hey, if anybody's actually viewing this live broadcast, put something in the chat window. How's my audio? Is my video coming through? Got any questions for the old man? Well, anyway, getting back to the weekend chatter. It's been not a whole lot, but enough to catch my attention of Corporation of the United States. And a friend of mine, fellow Christian and a watchman and a prepper, sent me late Friday afternoon, sent me a link to a news article, the Marshall Report, in which that was an extensive article concerning the Corporation of America and how DC is actually really not part of this country. So any ruler in DC would only be ruling over DC itself, not the sovereign nation of the United States. It's about a 20 to 25 minute read. Read it with an open mind. I read through it. There's some key things in it that I agreed with. There are some other things that I think are just a little too far out there. Just being a person, a little bit of a common sense. I think the gist of the article is that I think now at this point we're seeing two separate governments unfold in this country. And then also, as you read the article, go down and read there's a lot of news links for other countries where entire governments is basically have stepped down. Certain leaders of countries have basically abruptly just resigned and walk away. It's all in all to effectively go through everything. Give yourself about an hour and a half, and afterwards you're going to sit there and go, So, insanity. So I put a link in the description box below for the Marshall Report, and then I also put a link down in the description box over to Brighton.com, a direct link to interview that Adam West did with Miriam Hinian on the Corporation of the United States. So, and as I had stated in a few videos, I think shortly after the election, and the message that I've been, telling everyone is I'm not going to preach fear. It's not why I'm here. It's not why I've been a watchman and ran this YouTube channel, I think, for at least the last six plus years, and put on a lot of preppers videos. I keep politics and religion out of it. Yes, Jesus is my Lord and Savior. I have no problems whatsoever admitting that publicly. I want my salvation. But I try to run a neutral channel, and then I took a 3-year layoff just for a lot of political reasons, a lot of heat, a lot of trolls. And I got discouraged and got sick of people that didn't want to hear the truth. So I just laid off for almost 3 years. Then when I brought this channel back on, I decided I would just keep it neutral. I'm not going to take sides to the right or to the left. Whether you believe in God or don't believe in God, whoever you are, I don't care. I just want to carry the message of common sense and I produced a video, I think, last weekend with 3 key points. Do your own research, pray for discernment or understanding or your own truth, and then, plan accordingly. Live your life and set up your preppers program based on your life. My preppers program will not work for anyone else but me and my inner core, people that are the absolute closest to me in my area. Because it's not a one size fits all. Yeah, there's a lot of things about prepping, common sense, have some water, have, some food and stuff like that. But geographical areas where you live will actually make a huge difference so far as what you need to do to be prepared for a power outage, disruption and distribution, and being able to buy stuff from the grocery stores. If you lose water service, the list goes on and on. And over the years, as I've coached people, new preppers, the first thing is they're always, you ask them, well, how are you doing on your food storage? Out here, we call it food storage. And well, I'm LDS, so that's what we call it. I call it stockpiling supplies. And you always get that, well, how are you doing on your food storage? And you always get that, and their eyes roll to the ground. Yeah, I'm starting. And I think what happens with a lot of newbie preppers is they wake up and realize, you know what? I don't have more than 3 days worth of food in my house. I don't have extra toilet paper. I don't have extra bars of soap. I can just run to the store. And I think a lot of new preppers absolutely just at the first thought get completely overwhelmed. And it's understandable. And they think that it's something complex. Being prepared for a job layoff, medical emergency, transmission drops out of your car. There are going to be periodic times in your life that something happens where you're going to have to focus, a lot of your income to fix that problem or get out of that crisis. And if you have a little bit of a stockpile as you're shifting money over to dig yourself out of a particular problem, you've already got the food, the water, the toiletries, the extra coffee filters, paper towels, all the stuff that you normally use on a daily basis, you've got that stored. So while you're trying to take care of, like, let's say, living off unemployment or a work slowdown, or you got to drop $3,000 to get your car fixed or go buy another car to get to work, just whatever the situation is, you've already got this stuff. It's invested, it's paid for. So as you are working to get yourself out of whatever financial crisis you're in, you're living off your food stores. And so what little money you may have to work with or a little reduced income coming in can be focused on keeping the internet and your cell phone on. 2 key critical things. Keep the electricity turned on at your house. Keep your basic utilities and basic life. That way, each month, dealing with all that, plus having to run to the grocery store and buy milk and get all these things to survive, you've already got it set aside. And that'll give you peace of mind. That'll give you peace of mind as you crawl into bed each night thinking if something does happen, I'm prepared. Maybe not 100%, because I don't believe any of us can be 100% prepared. All boils down to common sense and investment. I have friends out here where I live. I myself, with my sources, saw this Kool-Aid 91 surface last November. So far as the channels and the people that I know, saw this in November. Well, I was already prepared, but I went ahead and beefed up the preparations. And some of the people that I deal with, friends and family, I threw down the gauntlet. I gave them a good stern warning. Of course, they ridiculed me. Oh, here we go again. Doomsday, Mr. Doomsday. Well, 5 of them lost their jobs. And took like 6 to 9 weeks to get their little bit of unemployment. And when they actually started getting unemployment, they were already behind on either the rent or the house payment. They just were in a really bad shape because when you're trying to feed a family and provide the supplies to run a household, whether it's an apartment or a house, and you're faced with no income or greatly reduced income, it's a lot of stress. It's hard to go to sleep at night. So with that being said, let's move on to the next thing. How's everybody doing out there? And hopefully people are doing better. Another concerning thing, read a report off of zerohedge.com, 900,000 people file for unemployment benefits this week, on top of what is it, like 26 million now that are pulling on the system. Plus, there's really no accurate count of the amount of people that were on unemployment and food assistance that have now rolled off the system. They're no longer eligible. They can't pull anymore. So that's got to be at least 100 to 200,000, if not more. So I'm just going to put it off and do it tomorrow. I'll start prepping next week. And people like Spider V13 and the other people that he follows, they're just a bunch of crazies, and the world's coming to an end. As I explained to my Christian friends and just people in general, doomsday, when you get called a doomsdayer, has nothing to do with doomsday. Doomsday would absolutely imply utter destruction and utter hopelessness. And if you're living a righteous life and doing what you have to do legally to take care of your families, getting up, going to work, watching how you spend your monthly budget, making sure that you've got extra stuff in your house, there's no doomsday behind that. I mean, yeah, let's say if the three biggest superpowers on this planet, China, Russia, and the United States, got into a nuke war, yeah, having extra rice and beans really isn't going to be much helpful as you're dying of radiation poisoning. So these three countries start lighting up nukes, yeah, it's doomsday. For economic collapse or recession or an all-out depression, that's not doomsday, that's just tough times. Remember, life is a roller coaster ride. This is life. And for that upper 1%, okay, cool, they've got nothing to worry about. Okay, we're still live. Apparently I got 2 people watching. I think on average I'm running with like 204 subscribers, and I think at this point, maybe 4 or 5 of those 204 actually watch my videos. But then I'm not out here to get numbers. I'm not out here to go, oh, well, look, I'm up to 8,000 viewers. No, that's not why I'm out here. I'm already popular. Out here in my own little universe, I'm popular. So I don't need popularity, and I sure as hell don't need gratification. I don't need to be validated by anyone. So let's take a look at some of the other news stories. One of the things, another thing I never really talk about when I come out on these videos, I don't talk about personal finances and I don't talk about firearms. Personal finances and firearms are just that, they're personal. But I believe as things continue to escalate and more people are finding themselves without jobs, unemployment running out, there's only so much stuff you can haul out of your house to a pawn shop before there's just absolutely no money left. And people will get desperate. Common sense, really good people will get desperate and make bad decisions to take care of their families. I'm going to sidestep a little bit, preach a little God. God has charged every man with taking care of his family, whether that's siblings or parents, or if you are married with children, you are charged by God Almighty himself to take care of your family through thick and thin. If you're a male of the household, then by all means, You need to make sure that you can take care of your family. I know a lot of guys out here, they've got families and they are financed to the hilt. I got a neighbor 3 houses up. Well, and I had a talk with him about a year ago, and I'm watching this guy just buy all kinds of stuff on credit and credit, toys. And I just kind of talked to him a little bit one day and says, this is what's coming. And you need to either sell all this stuff or get all this stuff paid off as soon as you can because tough times are coming. And of course, he had a few choice words, told me to call me a doomsday freak, and then told me to go do a particular bodily function to myself. And about a month ago, Repo Man got the new dually, got the new Escalade, got the camper toy hauler, and I'd say 3 weeks ago, I was leaving work one morning, pulled down the street, happened to glance over, and there was the paperwork stuck to the front door. And we all know what that is. That is, you're not making your payments, you got to get out. One of the things that I've talked a little bit about one of my previous videos, and I've seen a trend, and I've seen this not only with family, but also just with a lot of the American public. 2008, 2009, that financial crisis, Lehman Brothers collapsed, and that took down a lot of other banks and companies with it. Billions of dollars, at least on paper, were lost. So what did the U.S. government do? The U.S. government stepped, fired up, went to the Federal Reserve, they fired up the printing presses, printed up billions and billions of dollars and bailed all these companies out, kept them upright, didn't let them collapse, and just at the same token drove the national debt beyond the roof or beyond the ceiling. And what that did psychologically for the American people, I believe, is that it gave the American people psychologically an idea, a false idea, a very dangerous idea, that don't worry about it, live high on the hog, live on credit, charge, gimme, I want it now, I want all these toys, and then if something happens, if I lose my job, this, that, or the other, have my own personal financial crisis, somebody will come bail me out, and then I can start the cycle all over again. That was a very, very dangerous message. Psychological message this country learned. And since then, I think by around 2010, gas prices, started to slowly climb back up. So everybody was enjoying dirt cheap gas, dirt cheap groceries, and they didn't learn. A lot of debt was just written off the books or buried somewhere. Let me share something with you about burying debt and cooking the books. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the collapse of Enron starting in the early 90s. If the one lesson that we learned from Enron would be this: you can only cook the books and hide loss for so long. Laws of physics, the laws of averages and the laws of physics will get you. And so Enron just kept falsifying all these massive profits, kept burying all the losses, and it got to the point they just could not cook the books anymore, and then it imploded. And we've seen this a lot, and it's scary because what it is, and then of course Enron back in those days, Enron got bought out. The government didn't run in and bail them out. They did in 2008, 2009. Very simple. If you're going to spend money wisely. I know a family up the street from me. The husband is desperately trying to get the finances under control and get a little bit of stockpile. The wife got laid off mid-March because of Kool-Aid 91. Took about 10 weeks for her to get her unemployment. And it's just been nothing but spend, go on vacations and go to coffee and go to the movies and go out to dinner. I'm not saying don't do that, but budget your money wisely. What's your priorities? Which I would much rather stay home for 3 weekends. Just stay home, take care of the house, work on projects, and with those paychecks, buy a little extra. Buy a little extra food, a little extra supplies, rather than just constantly running and spending and just got to be entertained in this instant gratification. And you can thank the internet for instant gratification addiction. Yeah, point click. Amazon brings it to your house, free shipping, 2 days. And even I'm guilty of ordering online every Friday. But what I do is the stuff I order is the stuff I'm going to need during the collapse. So let's take a look at the stock market. Stock market last week rolled well over 31,000 points. Not the 52-week high, but it was close. And the S&P and the Nasdaq also churning up just solid, strong numbers. And that's the basis of, well, the American economy is doing great. Look at the stock market. No, don't look at the stock market. Look at your paycheck and see what you're going to be able to do with it so far as bills, utilities, supplies, and food. Because if you compare the two, it's a universe apart. One side of the universe is the stock exchange and these record numbers and all this cash and, oh yeah, the country's doing great. Well, that's really not the reality. If you're going to watch the stock markets, one, stay out of them. If you can afford to buy just a little bit of gold and silver each month, that's guaranteed cash. You hold that in your hand. You got $25,000 in stocks on and all of a sudden the market tanks, poof, that money's gone. And in all honesty, you don't even own that. You don't even own the money in the bank. You got a savings account, shit, the government, the bank owns that. And if you try to pull it out in one shot, good luck with that. And if you do take a little, you like the 401k, because I explained to some people, well, I got my, especially bankers, banking people are the funnest to talk to when it comes to economic hardships and preparing for any kind of a downturn. Well, I've got my 401k. Well, no, actually, you don't have a 401k. The bank you work for has the 401k. That bank gets into trouble and starts to crumble financially, your shit's gone. And you get an IOU, which in essence is going to be worthless. They're talking about the Great Reset. There's been a lot of chatter over the last few weeks about the Great Reset. I've done a little reading on it. It's part of the overall one monetary global system. On paper, that it honestly, to me, on paper, it looks good. But then we're just going to come full circle back to around. It doesn't matter if you have 295 different world currencies out there. There's still the upper 1% that controls that. And when the time comes and they actually do put the entire planet under one global economic system, the dollar here will be the same dollar that's issued out in Zimbabwe or over in Frankfurt, Germany, or Tokyo, Japan, or Shenzhen, China. It's exactly the same money. Problem is that you still have that upper 1% controlling it. And that's a scary thought. And so that's why it's a good thing to probably start studying up as a watchman and a prepper to start studying up on the art and skill of bartering. Because honestly, when the American economy dumps, and it's going to, and the reason why I say that is that you can't keep floating loans. You can't keep creating more and more and more debt. Read an article about a month ago that it's estimated, and I say, and even the article said that it was estimated that there's got to be at least 80 to 82 trillion dollars of debt in this country. We're talking government debt and personal debt, including student loans, auto loans, credit cards, mortgages, Try to wrap your brain around $82 trillion. The next 11 to 12 generations of Americans will never be able to get that paid off. It's insane. I read another article that the world debt, the combined world debt, has got to be close to like $3.4 quadrillion. I read that in an article about 3 months ago. I can't remember the website. It may have been Zero Hedge. I mean, think about that. Think about debt. And not only this country, damn near every, industrialized country on the planet is doing the same thing. We're out of money. We're out of money. Fire up the printing presses. Let's just print more money. This problem goes away right now. Well, yeah, it goes away right now, the next month, but somewhere down the road, somebody's going to do a call on it. They're going to call in on this debt, and nobody's got any money. It's a scary damn thought. Well, anyway, guys, that's pretty much it for tonight's broadcast. I just wanted to kind of get on, finally put a semi-face to the voice. Like I said, security purposes, I'm not putting my face out here. So I hope everyone had a really good weekend, and I just want to finish up and say this. Yes, we have a new presidential administration. Yes, Mr. Biden is our president, at least in DC. And I made a video, I think either this weekend or last weekend, that let's just roll with it. The time of fighting and bickering and trying to go for each other's throats and trying to be right about who should be in the White House, we got to let all that go, okay? Biden is our president, okay? At least in DC. So let's not trash him. Let's not trash the Democratic Party. Let us as American citizens step above. Let us set the bar. Let us be the ones that are upstanding. We still, for the most part, have, legal voting so far from the city, state, and federal levels, okay? If everyone is so displeased with Biden being president, then start the campaign now. Start the 2024 presidential campaign. Use the internet. Use your local government. Start your campaign now. Don't fight with people. It's pointless. All you're doing is sinking to that person or that group's level, and that solves no problems. Be the people that sets the bar of integrity and honesty and hard work. Don't get sucked into universal basic income. Don't do that. Get out of bed, and the economy is going to pick back up. We're going to start getting some jobs back. Hopefully Biden will pick up where Trump left off with, the tax incentives to get manufacturing back in this country. And the thing of it is, we as American citizens cannot solely put all the responsibility on the government to create the jobs and to provide for a lot of basic services and needs. Kennedy was right when he said that we need to ask what we can do for our country. It's that simple. Granted, we're not in really good shape so far as jobs. We can change that once we get off our lazy asses and unplug from Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, turn the damn TV off, do some studying. It starts with each individual. If you're going to sit on your ass and, live in YouTube world, or just live your whole every waking spare moment you have playing on Facebook, looking for gratification and attention, unplug from the matrix, start studying, because it boils down to this. This country will be as great as the efforts of the American citizens. So if you're hearing this video, ask yourself a question. Am I doing enough? Am I doing enough to support the tax base of my city, state, and federal government? Meaning by, am I out there generating income? Am I out there working to produce a job for myself, produce a job for others, if that makes sense. You know, the sole responsibility of this country's health does not solely sit on the government. It sits on the American people. You know, I'm 55 years old, and I had to make a shift when the Kool-Aid 91 hit. I'm a vice president, and the construction industry. That's as far as I can take that. My job is to sit in a really nice office from the 25,000 foot level and run projects. And a lot of the younger field engineers, they saw that freebie COVID money and a way out to sit at home, took it. And so I ended up basically, to save my own ass, not only am I doing my VP job, I actually, 80% of my time, I actually went back out in the field, hauled a bunch of tools to work, working in freezing ass cold weather, but I'm in my own solution. I'm still contributing to keeping the tax dollars and the income tax. I'm still making money because I chose to. I could have gone out on the Kool-Aid 91 card, sat at home for a year. Fuck that. So I'm from the old republic. We work. And so once the freebie money pretty much dried up, finishing up November, several of these young field engineers started calling up. Hey man, what's going on? You know, can I come back to work? Nope, don't need you. So I've had to make uncomfortable sacrifices to keep myself employed and essential. You know, if you're going to get out of bed in the morning and all you want to do is just go to work and eat by 40 hours and that's it, and be a mediocre worker, then that's fine. That's your choice. I support anybody's choice on the way they want to live their life. But let me go back to saying this. If you're going to just be a meaty ass work, you know, employee, or just an overall mediocre ass person to begin with, then that's where your expectations need to be. Don't feel like you have a sense of entitlement that the fucking universe owes you something, because it doesn't. The successful people are the ones that drag ass out of bed at 4 a.m. and they grind every single day. And every single day, they try to do a little bit better and do a little bit more than the day before. So a lot of people over the past year, or especially since the election, well, how did this all happen? Because we as the American people fucking let it happen. We're all guilty. This country's in a hell of a mess because it was all of our responsibilities. Wasn't the people in Washington. Yeah, they should have been running the shit show a little bit better and being a lot more careful with the money. But the bottom line is, it boils down to the American people. Now, I love this country and I love the American people, and I will help anyone I possibly can. But at the same token, I'm a little upset, and that's why I'm making this comment. We the people failed ourselves, plugged into the matrix. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Amazon online shopping, Netflix, constant just focus, pecking away on that little freaking screen, trying to eke out just another little validation. Ooh, look at me. Well, if you want a good 2021, you need to unplug. You need to unplug, sit down, and just evaluate where you're at and write some goals down. And, you know, write some short-term, medium, and some long-term goals and work towards those. It's that simple. All right, guys, well, that's my rant to finish. I love each and every one of you, the American citizens, and I pray for this country diligently every single night to our Heavenly Father. And I ask him to give us a great revival, not only just in getting right with him, but waking up to the fact that we need to stop being lazy and we need to get grassroots, go back to grassroots, get out of bed, man, and work. And as you study, because another golden thing about unplugging from the matrix is you set your goals and then you get online and you find the resources to obtain those goals. You study, At first you're thinking, oh man, I hate to read. There's not a whole lot of people that like to read. And I really had to discipline myself when I became a watchman to where I enjoy reading now. I enjoy not turning the TV on and just reading news articles, financial reports, um, survival reports, things that interest me. And very simple, it's all up to you. Okay, with that being said, I love you guys. I'm praying for everybody out here, not only just in this country, but just worldwide. There's so many people suffering because of Kool-Aid 91. So with all that being said, good night. I hope you guys have had a really good weekend. And I just pray that you have a good week this coming week. Be safe, stay aware, but most importantly, be prepared. I'm out.